Okay, so in this lesson, we're talking about properties of parallelograms. Well, the symbol is basically a quadrilateral that's kind of slanted, and then put the symbol for parallel lines through the center. So we're talking about properties of parallelograms. And basically, by definition, what is it? It's a quadrilateral, because there's 4 sides. In which both pairs of sides are parallel. So, property number 1, opposite sides are parallel. Also, opposite sides are congruent. Now, this next one, consecutive angles. So, like this angle and this angle are different, but they're supplementary. In other words, they add up to 180. So we call that consecutive because they follow each other. They're consecutive angles. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So the fourth one, now diagonals. So remember we drew one diagonal to split a quadrilateral into 2 triangles? Well, if we draw the other diagonal going the other direction, they bisect each other. So when you draw both diagonals, this segment is congruent to this segment, and this piece is congruent to this piece. So diagonals bisect each other. They basically cut each other in half. So if you look at number 1, if AB is 15, well, guess what? DC is also 15. If BC is 8, then AD is 8. So AD is 8, DC is 15. Now angle A. How do we figure out angle A? Well, we know angle D is 68, and since these are consecutive, they follow right after each other. If I do 180 minus 68, I'm going to get angle A because they're supplementary. They add up to 180. So that equals 112. So angle A is 112. Well, if this is 112, guess what? This has to be 68. And if this is 68, this has to be 112. One thing we'll learn later on is that the opposite angles in a parallelogram are going to be congruent. So angle B is also 68, and angle C is also 112. You'll try that in number 2. Now number 3, notice they drew the diagonals. Remember we said that the diagonals bisect each other, so this piece is congruent to this piece, and this piece is congruent to this piece because they cut each other in half. So if you know that this one's 7, then this has to be 7, which is VS. So here VS is 7. Now if we know that RS is 27, then UT also has to be 27 because they're opposite sides. Remember, opposite sides are congruent. Now ST is going to be the same as RC, or RU, sorry, that's a U, it didn't print very well. So that's also 18. And now VT. Notice VT is this piece. What do they tell you right here? RT is 30. So guess what? VT has to be 30 also. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the whole thing. Sorry, RT is 30. So if we cut it in half, both of these 2 pieces have to be 15. So try number 4 on your own in a second, or pause the video and then try it. Now number 5. First of all, if xy is 15, then automatically I know WZ or ZW is also 15, because these are opposite sides. Now WX is this piece, is 22, so then ZY is also 22. Now TX, let's see, where's TX? Oh, TX is this piece, but remember the diagonals in a parallelogram are cut each other in half. So this piece equals this piece, and this piece equals this piece. So if we know that ZT is 32, then TX also has to be 32. And then YW, YW, well, they tell you YT is 10, so TY has to be 10, so YW has to be 20. All right. Now they also tell you angle WZY, so WZY, this is bad print. So this whole angle right here is 62 degrees. So then guess what? Angle, oh, that's a T. Nope, that's a T, that is a Y. Boy, this is a bad print. I think my toner's going out. Okay, so hold on. So WXT, that's 27. And let's see, ZWT, so this little piece is 77. Okay, we're gonna have to use little triangles. So this one is 62 for both. So hold on. We know that this angle and these angles have to equal 180. Since this piece is 77, we need to figure out this piece. So basically I'm going to do 180 minus 62 plus 77 to get this little tiny piece, which is TWX, this one. So let's do 180 minus 62 minus 77. So this little tiny piece is 41, which is T is the center point, WX or XWT is 41. Okay. Now the other thing, since opposite sides are parallel, parallel lines always tell us congruent angles. So if we look, see how this is 27? Because this angle and this angle are alternate interior angles, then angle XZY, so where is that? Or wait a second, XYZ XYT TZY. I don't like how they name these. T, I wish it was XZY, but they do TZY has to be, is an alternate interior angle to the 27 degrees, so that's 27. Okay. Then XYZ has to be the same as this angle, so I'm just going to add 77 plus 41. So 77 plus 41, that's 118. And then, hold on. So guess what? We can also do the parallel lines going the other direction. So if this one's 77, then this one, what is it? X, or this is T, Y, X, or X, Y, T, also has to be 77. Wow, this copy is really hard to read. Okay, so basically you're going to have to use the alternate interior angles from this pair of parallel lines and this pair. All right. So number 7, this one's pretty easy because all you're doing is saying that the opposite sides are congruent. They're also parallel, but we're just going to set up 9x minus 25 has to equal 5x plus 7. So we subtract the 5x, add 25, and we have 4x equals 32. Divide by 4, and x equals 8. So you'll do something similar for number 8. Now number 9, they tell you that TV, which is this whole diagonal, is 74. Then they tell you that WV, which is just half of it, is 4x plus 1. So if this is 4x plus 1, then this one's also 4x plus 1. So basically, if we do 2 times 4x plus 1, that has to equal the whole thing, TV, which is 74. And frankly, I would just divide by 2, not even distribute. So I have 4x plus 1 equals, well, 74 divided by 2 is 37. Subtract 1. 4x equals 36. Divide by 4. And then x equals 9. And we can stop there because we're asked for x. So number 10, try that one on your own. So number 11, basically they give you opposite angles. And all I want you to know is that opposite angles are congruent. So then 4x plus 11 has to equal 6x minus 15. In fact, I don't think they listed that. Let's go ahead and list that on the front here. See where it says opposite sides are congruent? I'm going to put a slash and put opposite angles are congruent. That would have helped out in this one too. Anyways, let's look at finishing number 11. Lost my lid on my pencil. Okay, so let's subtract the 6x. Subtract 11. So I have negative 2x equals negative 26 divided by negative 2. X equals 13. But we can't stop there. We need to find angle B. Well, I know that angle B and angle A are supplementary, which means they add up to 180. So I need to figure out, or actually, B and C are also add up to 180, and I'd rather plug into 4, it doesn't matter, 4 times that. So let's do, so angle C has to equal 4 times 13 plus 11. Well, that's 40 plus 12, so 52 plus 11. So angle C is 63. So basically to find angle B, I'm going to do 180 minus 63. Which is 17. Is that right? Or, I mean, sorry, 117. Yep. So angle B is 117 degrees. Okay. Now, number 13, I see that they're using this little angle. We're going to have to use parallel lines. So KLH, that's this whole angle right here, is 134. Well, if these two sides are parallel, this angle and this angle have to be congruent. Well, I can figure out this angle since the 134 plus this angle are supplementary. I'm going to put S's, has to equal 180. So basically I'm going to do 134 plus 25 and then subtract that from 180. So 180 minus 134 plus 25. That's just on your calculator. 180 minus 134 minus 25. So that's 21. So this piece right here is 21. Well, if this is 21, since these are alternate interior angles with the parallel lines, then 4x plus 9 has to equal 21. And now we just solve. So subtract 9. So 4x equals 12. Divide by 4, and x equals 3. And we don't need to do anything further. So try the evens and check the answer key and bring questions to class.